The day the aliens came changed everything. They arrived in ships that gleamed like polished silver in the sunlight, hovering over major cities across Earth. Their message came through on all frequencies, in perfect English and every other human language. We come in peace, as representatives of the Galactic Council. After decades of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, the answer had arrived. Panic gave way to wonder as the aliens proved peaceful. They called themselves the Galactic Council, an alliance of 23 advanced species who govern most of the known galaxy. William Harper adjusted his tie nervously as he prepared for his first meeting with the Council representatives. At 52, with gray streaking his brown hair, he had never expected to become Earth's first ambassador to alien life. Yet here he was, about to enter the sleek shuttle that would take him to the Council's orbital station. "Ready, Dad?" asked a small voice beside him. William looked down at his daughter Lily, just 8 years old, with her mother's bright blue eyes and his stubborn chin. After his wife died 2 years ago, Lily had become his whole world. The Council had surprised him by suggesting he bring his child along as part of Earth's delegation. They wished to understand human family units. The message had said, "As ready as I'll ever be, sweetheart," William replied, taking her small hand in his. The journey to the Council station took less than an hour. The shuttle docked smoothly, and when the doors opened, William's breath caught in his throat. Aliens of various shapes and sizes waited in a large chamber. Some looked almost human, others completely foreign, with tentacles, multiple eyes, or bodies that seemed to shift and flow. A tall figure stepped forward. It had bluish skin that shimmered slightly and eyes that were completely black. "Ambassador Harper," it said in a melodic voice. "I am Counselor Zelen of the Mithrai. Welcome to the Galactic Council." Over the next few weeks, William attended countless meetings. The Council explained their structure, their laws, and what membership would mean for Earth. Humans would gain access to advanced technology, trade routes, and protection, but with limits on expansion and military development. "We find that emerging species need guidance as they join the galactic community," explained Counselor Eltara, a being with orange scales and 4 arms. "These restrictions are temporary, of course." Most people back on Earth celebrated the opportunity. News channels showed crowds cheering in cities worldwide. Scientists were eager to learn from alien technology. Business leaders anticipated new markets. Not everyone shared this enthusiasm. General Peter Clark of the United Space Command expressed concerns during a private briefing with William. "They're offering us a cage with golden bars. Ambassador," he said, "notice how they're careful about what technology they share. Nothing that could improve our ships or weapons." William had noticed, but diplomatic relations were going well otherwise. Surprisingly, Lily had become an unexpected asset. The aliens seemed fascinated by her, especially when she laughed or asked innocent questions. Many council members had never seen a human child before. "Your offspring displays remarkable cognitive ability," noted Counselor Vren, a mantis-like being whose species reproduced through egg clusters with minimal parental involvement. One evening, after Lily had charmed a group of diplomats by teaching them a hand-clapping game, William found Counselor Zelen watching her with an odd expression. "Is something wrong, Counselor?" William asked. "Your species is unusual, Ambassador Harper," Zelen said quietly. "Most developing species show clear limitations, but humans, there's something about your adaptability that some find concerning." "Concerning? In what way?" Zelen seemed to catch himself. "Merely an observation. Your daughter is delightful. The Council looks forward to continuing our productive discussions." As William watched Zelen walk away, an uneasy feeling settled in his stomach. Behind the Council's friendly facade, he sensed something else, something they weren't telling Earth. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed in their station quarters, she asked, "Dad, are we going to be friends with all the aliens forever?" William smiled and kissed her forehead. "I hope so, sweetheart. I certainly hope so." He couldn't have known then how tragically wrong he was. The grand reception hall of the council station sparkled with light that bounced off crystal decorations hanging from the high ceiling. William Harper stood near a refreshment table, watching as representatives from 24 worlds mingled. 3 months had passed since Earth's first contact with the Galactic Council, and tonight marked the formal signing of Earth's preliminary membership agreement. William sipped a blue drink that tasted like mint and pineapple. He scanned the room for Lily, spotting her near a group of Tendari delegates. The small, fur-covered aliens seemed delighted by her as she showed them how to play cat's cradle with a piece of string. He smiled. His daughter had become an unexpected diplomat in her own right. "Your offspring continues to impress, Ambassador Harper," said a voice beside him. Counselor Eltara had approached without him noticing. Such curiosity in one so young. "Thank you," William replied. "Sometimes too much curiosity. I can barely keep up with her questions about everything she sees here." Eltara's orange scales shifted color slightly. "Yes, the human desire to understand is notable." Across the room, William saw Captain Natalie Reeves, head of Earth's security detail, watching the proceedings with sharp eyes. She caught his glance and gave a small nod. Though the Council had insisted Earth's security presence be minimal, William was glad to have Reeves nearby. Something about tonight felt different. Several senior council members seemed tense, huddled in small groups, their conversations stopping whenever humans approached. An hour into the reception, William realized he hadn't seen Lily for several minutes. He moved through the crowd, asking if anyone had seen her. No one had. "Ambassador," Captain Reeves approached quickly. "Your daughter was last seen near the East Corridor." The East Corridor led to areas that were off-limits to the Earth delegation. William felt a spike of concern. Lily knew the rules, but her curiosity often got the better of her. "We should find her," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. They moved quickly to the corridor entrance. 2 council security officers blocked their path. They were Dravik, a species known for their strength, with gray skin and broad shoulders. "This area is restricted," one said firmly. "My daughter may have wandered in there," William explained. "She's just a child." The guards exchanged glances. "Wait here," one said before touching a communication device on his wrist and speaking quietly. Minutes passed. William's concern grew into worry, then fear. Captain Reeves stood beside him, her hand resting near her ceremonial sidearm. The only weapon the Council had allowed the Earth security team. Finally, Counselor Zalen appeared, his blue face grave. "Ambassador Harper," he said solemnly, "I regret to inform you of a tragic accident." William felt the world tilt beneath him. "What accident? Where is Lily?" "Your daughter entered a restricted laboratory area. She activated an ancient artifact, a device that should have been secured. The energy discharge was substantial." "What are you saying?" William demanded, his voice rising. "The child did not survive the accident," Zalen said. "We are deeply sorry for your loss." William stared in disbelief. This couldn't be happening. Not Lily. Not his bright, beautiful girl. "I need to see her," he said, his voice breaking. "I'm afraid that's not possible," Zalen replied. "The nature of the energy discharge. There were complications with recovery." Captain Reeves stepped forward. "We demand a full investigation. Immediately." "Of course," Zalen said. "The Council takes full responsibility for this tragic accident. All necessary protocols will be followed." But something in Zalen's eyes didn't match his words. William saw it clearly. A coldness, a calculation. And in that moment, through his crushing grief, a terrible suspicion formed in his mind. Later, alone in his quarters, William collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed by sorrow. But beneath his tears, something else began to burn, a determination to discover what really happened to his daughter. Because despite what the Council claimed, William Harper knew in his heart that Lily's death had been no accident. 2 weeks passed since Lily's death. William Harper moved through the council station like a ghost, attending required meetings but speaking little. The council offered condolences, arranged a memorial service, and seemed eager to return to normal diplomatic relations. They provided an official report claiming Lily had accidentally activated an ancient energy device that caused a fatal power surge. Captain Natalie Reeves wasn't convinced. Late at night, she met William in his quarters, making sure to activate a small device that blocked listening technology. "Ambassador, I don't trust their story," she said quietly. "The timing feels wrong." The council security was too quick to block that area off. William nodded slowly. His eyes, once warm, had turned hard as stone. "I agree. But what can we do? We have no access to where it happened." "Leave that to me," Natalie said. "Just keep attending meetings like nothing's wrong." Over the next few days, Natalie recruited help from an unlikely source. Frank Dawson, a maintenance worker from Earth who had been hired to help maintain human-specific systems on the station, had access to service tunnels that ran behind many restricted areas. "These tunnels connect to their security center," Frank explained, showing Natalie a rough map he'd drawn. "I've seen monitors in there showing footage from all over the station." "Can you get me in?" Natalie asked. Frank looked nervous but nodded. "Tonight, during shift change." That night, while most of the station slept, Natalie crawled through narrow maintenance tunnels behind Frank. They reached a small grate that looked into the security center. Most of the Dravik guards were gone, with just one remaining to watch the screens. "Wait here," Frank whispered before moving further down the tunnel. Moments later, an alarm sounded in a distant part of the station. The remaining guard hurried out to investigate. Natalie slipped into the room and quickly accessed the computer system. She had only minutes to search for footage from the day Lily disappeared. Her fingers flew over the alien keyboard, using the basic commands she'd learned during security briefings. She found the files, but they were locked. Using an override code provided by Earth's cyber team, she broke through and downloaded the footage onto a small device she carried. She was back in the tunnel before the guard returned. Back in her quarters, Natalie viewed the footage. What she saw made her blood run cold. Lily had indeed wandered into the restricted area, driven by childish curiosity. She had touched a glowing device, which emitted a brief pulse of light, but the pulse hadn't harmed her. Lily had looked surprised, then delighted by the pretty lights. Then several council security officers entered. They saw Lily, spoke into communication devices, and waited. Minutes later, higher-ranking officials arrived. They spoke briefly, looking at Lily with what seemed like fear. Then one of them made a gesture. A guard raised a weapon and fired directly at Lily. Natalie covered her mouth to hold back a cry of horror. This was no accident. This was an execution. Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Dr. Alan Mason, a human xenobiologist working with council scientists, made his own discovery. While searching databases for information on interspecies genetic compatibility, he accidentally accessed restricted files on human biology. The council had been studying humans intensively. Notes described humans as dangerously adaptive and a potential level 1 threat species. Most disturbing was a document titled Containment Protocol for Earth Integration. It detailed a long-term plan to limit human advancement while extracting useful resources and knowledge. Dr. Mason copied the files, his hands shaking. He needed to get this information to Ambassador Harper immediately. That night, 3 humans on the council station made separate discoveries that, together, revealed a terrible truth. The Galactic Council had murdered Lily Harper, and they feared humanity enough to plan its eventual subjugation. The real question was whether they could get this evidence back to Earth before the Council realized what they knew. Captain Natalie Reeves, Dr. Alan Mason, and Ambassador William Harper met in William's quarters. They spoke in hushed voices, with Frank Dawson standing guard outside. They shared their discoveries, the video of Lily's murder, and the secret council files. "We need to get this information to Earth immediately," William said, his voice tight with anger and grief. "The regular communication channels are monitored," Natalie warned. "We need another way." Dr. Mason leaned forward. "There's a supply ship leaving for Earth tomorrow. The pilot, Steve Kelly, is a friend. He might help us." They copied the evidence onto 3 separate devices. If one failed to reach Earth, the others might succeed. William wrote a personal message to Earth's leaders, explaining everything they had learned. The next day, while William attended a council meeting to avoid suspicion, Natalie and Dr. Mason smuggled their devices onto the supply ship. Steve agreed to help after seeing just a few seconds of the video. The ship departed without incident, but someone had been watching. That night, Council security forces surrounded their quarters. William, Natalie, Dr. Mason, and Frank were arrested for breaching Council security protocols. Their rooms were searched, but the Council found nothing. The evidence was already on its way to Earth. Back on Earth, Admiral John Barrett received an urgent message. A supply ship from the Council station had arrived with classified material from Ambassador Harper. Barrett, a stern man with 30 years of military service, reviewed the evidence in his secure office deep within the United Space Command headquarters. First, he watched the video of Lily Harper's murder. His face grew dark with anger. Then he read the files about the Council's true assessment of humanity and their plans for Earth. Finally, he listened to William Harper's message, explaining what they had discovered and their subsequent arrest. Admiral Barrett immediately called an emergency meeting with Earth's unified government. President Samantha Collins, a former diplomat with sharp eyes and graying hair, listened in shocked silence as Barrett presented the evidence. They murdered a child, an innocent child, because she accidentally saw something they wanted to keep hidden, President Collins said, her voice shaking with anger. And they've been planning to control us all along. The room erupted in outrage. Government officials demanded immediate action. Some wanted to cut all ties with the Council. Others suggested military response. But Earth's small fleet of space vessels was no match for the Council's advanced technology. Actually, Admiral Barrett said, standing tall before the assembled leaders, that's not entirely true. The room fell silent. 30 years ago, when we first detected signals suggesting intelligent life beyond our solar system, a decision was made. While the public was told we had only a modest space defense program, a secret initiative was launched. Barrett activated a secure display. Images appeared showing massive underground facilities built inside several moons of the outer planets. Operation Ghost Shield, he continued, using technology reverse-engineered from crashed alien vessels found over the centuries. We built a fleet, a real fleet, ships with capabilities matching or exceeding what we've seen from the Council. Stunned silence filled the room. "Why weren't we informed?" demanded President Collins. "Need-to-know basis, Madam President. Previous administrations decided that maintaining absolute secrecy was essential. If aliens ever came to Earth with hostile intent, our only advantage would be surprise." Barrett brought up new images showing sleek warships in hidden hangars. "We have over 200 vessels ready for deployment. Advanced weapons systems, shields that can withstand significant attack, and crews who have trained for this moment for years." President Collins stood slowly, her decision clear in her eyes. "Admiral Barrett, mobilize the Ghost Fleet. We're going to rescue our people and show the Galactic Council exactly what happens when you threaten humanity." Barrett nodded grimly. "Yes, Madam President." Across the solar system, in bases hidden within Pluto, Neptune's moons, and the asteroid belt, alerts began to sound. Commanders received coded messages they had trained for, but never expected to use. The Ghost Fleet was awakening. Deep within Neptune's orbit, hidden in the shadows of its largest moon Triton, metal doors slid open on an enormous hangar carved into the moon's icy surface. Inside, rows of sleek warships hummed to life, their engines glowing blue in the darkness. Similar scenes played out across the outer solar system, on Pluto, in the asteroid belt, and in hidden bases scattered throughout the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Fleet Admiral Daniel Freeman stood on the bridge of the EDS Retribution, the largest ship in Earth's secret fleet. At 58, with a weathered face and sharp gray eyes, Freeman had spent half his career preparing for this day. He hoped it would never come. "All systems online," reported his second-in-command, Commander Paul Harris. "Ghost Fleet reporting ready status across all divisions." Freeman nodded, his face grim. "Bring up the tactical display." A three-dimensional map appeared, showing Earth, the Council Station, and known Council worlds. The station sat at the edge of the solar system, a gleaming outpost of alien technology that had once represented hope to humanity. Now it represented betrayal. "Weapons status?" Freeman asked. Lieutenant Commander Grace Martinez, a brilliant weapons specialist with steady hands and a calm demeanor, looked up from her console. "All ships report weapons hot. Disruptor technology is online and ready." The disruptors were Earth's secret advantage. Based on technology from a crashed alien ship found in the Arctic 50 years ago, they could temporarily shut down the energy fields that powered Council vessels. The Council had no idea humans possessed this technology. "Communications. Secure and operational, sir," replied the communications officer. "We're maintaining radio silence as ordered." Freeman took a deep breath. 217 ships, crewed by men and women who had trained in secret for years, waited for his command. They represented humanity's best hope, and perhaps its last defense. "The Council believes we're defenseless," Freeman said to his bridge crew. "They think they can murder our children and control our future. Today, we proved them wrong." He opened a channel to all Ghost Fleet vessels. "This is Admiral Freeman. You all know why we're here. The Galactic Council has shown its true colors. They murdered an innocent child. They plan to limit our growth and freedom. And they're holding our people prisoner." Freeman paused, letting his words sink in. "Our mission has 3 objectives. First, rescue Ambassador Harper and all Earth personnel from the Council station. Second, secure evidence of the Council's crimes against humanity. Third, demonstrate our strength sufficiently to force the Council to recognize Earth as an equal power, not a subject species." He looked around at his crew, seeing determination in their eyes. "We will use necessary force, but remember, we are not conquerors or murderers. We target military assets and avoid civilian casualties whenever possible. That's what separates us from them." Freeman turned to Commander Harris. "Deploy the fleet in Strike Formation Alpha. Task Force 1 will secure the station. Task Forces 2 and 3 will move to defensive positions in case Council reinforcements arrive." The massive ships moved silently out of their hiding places, their advanced engines leaving no traditional exhaust trails to detect. They formed into 3 groups and accelerated toward their targets. On the Retribution's bridge, Lieutenant Commander Martinez monitored the Council's early warning systems through specialized equipment. "No indication they've detected us, Admiral. Their systems are scanning for traditional propulsion signatures." "Good," Freeman replied. "Maintain course and speed." As the Ghost Fleet moved closer to the Council station, Freeman studied an image of Lily Harper that President Collins had sent to every ship commander. A smiling girl with bright eyes who would never grow up because the Council saw her as a threat. "Lieutenant Commander Martins, prepare a broadcast message to be sent the moment we drop out of stealth." "Message ready, sir." Freeman's voice was steady as he recorded. "To the Galactic Council. You murdered one of our children. Now learn why that was your greatest mistake." The Ghost Fleet continued its silent approach, Earth's vengeance moving through the darkness of space toward an unsuspecting enemy. The Council station hung in space, a massive structure shaped like a wheel with spokes extending from a central hub. Around it, a dozen Council warships patrolled in standard formation. Inside the station's security center, a Dravik officer monitored the sensor displays with bored attention. Nothing unusual ever happened here. Suddenly, the sensors flickered. The officer frowned and tapped the screen. Then alarms blared as 200 human warships appeared seemingly from nowhere, surrounding the station and its patrol vessels. "Impossible," the officer whispered. On the bridge of the EDS Retribution, Admiral Freeman gave the order. "Broadcast the message, then activate disruptors." Lieutenant Commander Martinez pressed a sequence of controls. "Disruptors active, sir." Across the Council fleet, ships suddenly lost power as the human disruptor technology took effect. Their weapons systems, shields, and engines shut down simultaneously. The Council vessels drifted helplessly in space. Freeman's recorded message played on every communication channel. "To the Galactic Council. You murdered one of our children. Now learn why that was your greatest mistake." Then Freeman spoke directly to the station. "This is Fleet Admiral Daniel Freeman of Earth's Defense Force. Your military vessels have been neutralized. We demand the immediate release of all Earth citizens in your custody. Failure to comply will result in direct action." Inside the Council station, panic erupted. Council members rushed to emergency shelters, while military leaders tried to understand how humans had built such an advanced fleet without their knowledge. Supreme Counselor Vren called an emergency session. "How is this possible? Their technology should be decades behind ours." "Unknown, Supreme Counselor," replied the military commander. "But their ships have disabled our entire defense fleet without firing a single conventional weapon." On a secure level of the station, William Harper, Captain Reeves, Dr. Mason, and Frank Dawson sat in separate cells. They had been interrogated for days about how they had transmitted information to Earth. Despite harsh treatment, none had revealed the truth. William heard unusual sounds outside. Alarms, running footsteps, shouted orders. Something was happening. The door to the detention area slid open. A squad of Council security forces rushed in, led by a senior officer. "Bring the humans. All of them. The Supreme Counselor wants them now." The prisoners were taken to the Council's main chamber, where Vren and other senior Council members waited. Through the large viewport, William saw something that made his heart leap. Earth ships, hundreds of them, surrounding the station. "What is the meaning of this?" Vren demanded, turning to William. "How has Earth hidden such military power from us?" William straightened his shoulders. Despite days of captivity, he stood tall. "Earth has always protected itself, Counselor. We hoped we would never need to reveal this fleet, but you gave us no choice when you murdered my daughter." "That was an unfortunate incident." "It was an execution," Captain Reeves interrupted. "I have the video evidence. Your security forces killed her deliberately." A communication officer rushed into the chamber. "Supreme Counselor, we're receiving reports from multiple sectors. Earth vessels have appeared at every major Council military installation across 3 star systems. They've disabled our ships but have not attacked civilian targets." Vren's face paled. The Council's military advantage, the foundation of their power, had evaporated in minutes. The chamber's main screen activated, showing Admiral Freeman on the bridge of his flagship. "Supreme Counselor Vren," Freeman said, "I see you have our people. Return them immediately, or we will board your station and take them." "This is an act of war," Vren hissed. "No," Freeman replied calmly. "This is a response to your act of war when you killed Lily Harper and planned Earth's subjugation. We now offer you a choice. Release our people and agree to new terms of relationship, or face the consequences of your actions." William looked at the screen and felt a surge of pride. Earth had not been as helpless as the Council believed. And now, perhaps, justice for Lily was within reach. But the Council's response would determine whether this show of force led to peace or to interstellar war. Supreme Counselor Vren stared at Admiral Freeman's image on the screen. The chamber remained silent as Council members waited for Vren's response. Finally, he spoke. "We will release your people as a show of good faith, but this military action against the Council cannot go unanswered." Before Freeman could reply, another Council member stepped forward. She was tall with pale blue skin and silver hair. Counselor Ilara of the Keldari, one of the oldest species in the Alliance. "Supreme Counselor, I request permission to speak," she said firmly. Vren hesitated, then nodded. "This situation arose from our actions, not Earth's," Ilara stated, her voice clear and strong. "The Council ordered the death of a human child. We have seen the evidence. This was not an accident as we claimed." Murmurs spread through the chamber as many council members heard this confirmation for the first time. Furthermore, Ilara continued, secret plans were made to limit Earth's development without full council approval. These humans have shown remarkable restraint. They could have destroyed our military installations, yet they chose to disable rather than destroy. William watched in surprise. He had met Ilara during diplomatic functions, but never expected her to defend Earth. Another council member, a reptilian Gorvan, stood. "The Keldari speak truth. My people also object to the child's execution. Such actions violate our founding principles." One by one, representatives from 7 different species stood in support. The council was fracturing before everyone's eyes. Outside the station, news of Lily Harper's murder spread rapidly across council space. The video, released by Earth to all council worlds, showed the deliberate killing of an innocent child. Public opinion turned sharply against council leadership. On the retribution, Admiral Freeman received an unexpected message from the Keldari homeworld. Their high command offered support for Earth's position and requested direct communication. "This changes things," Freeman told his senior officers. "We're gaining allies." Captain Reeves, who had been released along with the other Earth personnel, joined Freeman on the flagship. She brought valuable intelligence about divisions within the Council. "At least 8 species want to break away from Vren's leadership," she explained. "They've always resented the dominant species' control, but never had cause to challenge it openly." Meanwhile, Ambassador Harper addressed the Council again, his voice steadied despite his grief. "Earth doesn't want war. We want justice for my daughter and honest relations moving forward. We've hidden our military capabilities because we hoped never to need them. Now we ask, will you acknowledge us as equals, or will you force this conflict to continue?" Vren looked around the chamber, seeing his support crumbling. "We need time to discuss this internally." "Very well," William replied. "But understand this. Earth will never again accept being treated as a lesser power." As the Council debated, their communications networks filled with messages from member worlds. Many ordinary citizens expressed horror at Lily's murder and support for Earth's position. Several planetary governments officially distanced themselves from the Council's actions. The Keldari went further. Their ambassador publicly announced, "We stand with Earth against injustice. The murder of a child cannot be the foundation upon which galactic civilization rests." Aboard the Retribution, Freeman and his officers planned their next moves. "If negotiations fail, we target their key military bases next," Freeman said. "Still no civilian targets." Lieutenant Commander Martinez nodded. "The disruptors need 12 hours to recharge at full capacity. After that, we can disable another wave of their ships." As the deadline approached, the Council remained divided. Vren and his closest allies wanted to summon reinforcements from distant bases and fight. Others pushed for immediate peace talks. Earth's fleet maintained its position, weapons ready but not firing. The entire galaxy watched and waited. Then a small shuttle departed from the Council station, requesting permission to dock with the Retribution. Inside was Counselor Ilara of the Keldari, coming alone to offer a path to peace and to reveal secrets about the Council that would change everything. Counselor Ilara's shuttle docked with the EDS Retribution. Admiral Freeman, Ambassador Harper, and President Collins, who had arrived from Earth, greeted her in the ship's conference room. "Thank you for receiving me," Ilara said, bowing slightly. "What I have to share may help end this conflict." She placed a small device on the table. It projected images of ancient texts and star maps. "The Council has existed for 12,000 years," she explained. In that time, 27 emerging species were deemed too dangerous and contained or eliminated. My people, the Keldari, have long opposed these actions but were overruled. William leaned forward. Why was my daughter killed? The device she touched was an ancient scanner, Ilara said sadly. It revealed something that terrified Council leadership. Human genetic potential exceeds that of any species we've encountered. The scan showed your kind could eventually surpass even the founding races. She looked at them gravely. Fear drove their decision, not wisdom or justice. President Collins spoke firmly. Whatever our potential, we have the right to determine our own future. I agree, Ilara replied. And now, many Council worlds stand with Earth. Supreme Counselor Vren faces a choice: accept new terms or lose control entirely. Back on the Council station, Vren received troubling reports. 17 member species had officially condemned Lily's murder. Military assets from 8 worlds had withdrawn from Council command. His position was crumbling. The next day, Earth's fleet surrounded the Council station completely. With Ilara's knowledge, they had disabled the station's secret defenses and backup systems. No reinforcements had arrived. Too many Council worlds had refused Vren's orders. Admiral Freeman opened a channel to the Council chamber. On screen beside him stood President Collins, Ambassador Harper, and Counselor Ilara. Supreme Counselor Vren. Freeman began. Your position is clear. Earth demands the following. Those directly responsible for Lily Harper's murder must surrender for trial. The Council must acknowledge Earth as a full and equal member with no restrictions, and all secret plans against Earth must be abandoned. Vren looked around at his diminished support. Even his closest allies had stepped away. His choices were surrender or destruction. We have terms of our own, he tried weakly. No, President Collins interrupted. You murdered a child. You get no terms. After a tense silence, Vren nodded in defeat. The responsible parties will be surrendered. Within an hour, 6 Council officials, including the security officer who fired the fatal shot and the commanders who gave the order, were transferred to Earth custody. They would face trial for Lily's murder under laws all Council species recognized. 1 week later, a new agreement was signed. The Galactic Council was restructured, with power balanced between all member species. Earth joined as a founding member of this new alliance, with William Harper continuing as ambassador despite his personal loss. In the central hall of the new alliance headquarters, a memorial was unveiled. A small statue of Lily Harper stood beside a plaque that read, "Her life was brief, but her legacy changed the stars." William touched the statue gently. Captain Reeves stood beside him. She would be proud, Natalie said softly. Yes, William replied, but I would trade all this just to have her back. Admiral Freeman approached, now serving as Earth's military representative to the Alliance. Ambassador, the Lily Harper Foundation is ready to begin its work, he said. 7 worlds have already signed the accords protecting the rights of children across all species. William nodded. Something good would come from his terrible loss. Lily's death had exposed the Council's darkness and led to a better, more equal alliance of worlds. Her memory would protect other children from similar fates. As representatives from 100 worlds gathered to celebrate the new beginning, William looked out at the stars. Humanity had revealed its strength when threatened. But more importantly, they had shown wisdom in victory. They had not sought revenge but justice, not domination but equality. Somewhere in the vast universe, William believed, Lily was smiling at what her father had helped create from the ashes of tragedy, a new and better future for Earth and all peaceful worlds among the stars.